Hi everyone, I'm Noelle, and today I wanted to talk to you about making room for baby, aka how much space does a baby really need? In today's culture, particularly in the moderate income to affluent communities, it is expected that a child will have their own room. Particularly, it is expected that you will have a room that you can dedicate as a nursery, that you design and make all beautiful before the baby comes, and then, you know, whether or not you co-sleep or have baby with you for a little while, at a few months of age, they're expected to go sleep in their crib in this other room. And then they're expected to grow up in that room. And then if you have multiple children, each child has their own room, or at least the boys in one room, the girls in another room. And this is just the way things are. Back when my husband and I lived in a 1-bedroom, 400 square foot unit, I did a lot of research into apartment living and having kids in small spaces. And I ran across a couple of really cool blogs and experiences and stories of families that lived in very small spaces and either shared a room with their child, or they had one room or one space even, a nook, a closet, a corner, something that their child then had a bed in. And I started really questioning this need for a separate room. Now, I think if you have the space, it's wonderful. And, you know, certainly as a child grows up, they want their own space, and that's totally, you know, that's totally understandable and totally good. But I think as a culture, we have really gotten to the place where we almost idealize this need for space, just like we idealize our need for stuff. And right now, the minimalist movement is kind of taking place because there's all these people that want to get rid of this stuff because we want the freedom, and we want our lives back, and we want the stuff to not be controlling us anymore. And along with that minimalist movement of getting rid of stuff, people are downsizing their houses. People are living with much less in much smaller spaces. All that to say, you know, when you think about apartment living in like New York City or San Francisco, there are families with multiple children living in 1-bedroom apartments, and they're doing just fine. So, you know, there's a lot of judgment. I have felt that judgment of, you can't have kids in a small space. How dare they, you know, have 2 kids in 400 square foot space? You know, I personally would not want 2 kids in a 400 square foot space, but if they can do it, that's fine, you know. So anyway, fast forward, we moved to a larger house. This house, however, is not ideally set up, meaning that there is, you know, the master bedroom, and then there's a bedroom right next to it. So, of course, everybody thinks, oh, well, that should be the nursery. Well, the only other space in the house is the living room that's open to the kitchen and the dining room. And my husband is a video gamer, meaning he needs a separate place to do that, not around me. I run a home business. I need an office. So what do we do? Right now, that's our office and not a room for kids. There is one other space, this attic space, which right now I am using as my little craft area and everything else, but I also store all of the future kids stuff up here. And we don't know right now. We don't have a plan in place. We don't know where we would put a child when that day comes. Right now, I am of the mindset that an infant under a year of age needs a place to sleep and a place to play. That place to sleep can be a rock and play by your bed. It can be a mini crib by your bed. It can be a crib in another room. It can be a crib in the living room, in a nook, in a closet, and wherever you want. That place to sleep can be mobile. It doesn't have to be in the nursery. And then a place to play. Well, for a young child, even in the first probably 3 years of life, you don't want them necessarily playing behind closed doors somewhere. You want them out with the family. So if you have, when I was growing up, we had our own room. My sister and I had our own room, but our play area was the living room. It was with the family on the floor where everybody was. And so if we're in this home, when we have kids, the living room has quite a bit of space, and I plan on utilizing 9 cubes, which we already have in place, and using baskets to store toys down there, to have an open space where they can play and do puzzles and games and all kinds of things right there with the family. So there's their place to play. They don't need a room. The place to play is with the family. And so at this point in time, for at least the first year, I plan on having the child sleep with me or near me. So there's the rock and play option, and there's also a mini crib on wheels option that can be moved throughout on any room in on the first floor. As the child grows older, it is a possibility that their room might be up here. It's a possibility their room might be downstairs. We don't know. But I really I feel very passionately on this topic that, all your ducks are not going to be in a row when you have kids. You don't need to wait till your finances are perfect. You don't need to wait till you're in the perfect house. You just don't need that. Everybody will tell you that it costs $10,000. I think I'm pretty sure it was Baby Center, and it had your cost for the first year was like $10,000. And I went through their little form and I filled out my things, and it went down to like $2,000. So I'm kind of just rambling here, but the point is you need a place for them to sleep, a place for them to play, and a place to store their stuff. And that's all you need. And that does not mean that you need a nursery. That does not mean that you need all of this stuff that the culture will tell you need. So, all of that to say, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think? How much room do you think a baby or a child needs? And how do you think that this need for space influences our culture as this individualistic, independent culture we have? Leave your comments below, and I'd love to keep the conversation going. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye. When I first got my premium starter